Ondo Finance has now landed on my radar, guys, and I want to share with you the reasons why. When it comes to RWAs, it really seems that Ondo is getting ready to take a very substantial lead, primarily for the fact that Ondo, their products seem to encompass the entirety of the RWA space. When you go to rwa.xyz, you will find out that a lot of the products that are connected to Ethereum are also running through Ondo. So I've been sitting back and observing Ondo for a few good months, been reading the headlines, watching the price movement. I'm seeing that it is starting to pull back a little bit, and that's perfectly fine because now we have an opportunity to get involved. We have an opportunity to dig a little bit deeper. So, the reason why I'm getting into Ondo Finance is because they're going to leverage, well, for one, they're the embodiment of the RWA market right now. Straight up. All the institutions, the big names, the banks, the players, they're looking at Ondo. And in addition to that, they are now launching their own chain, this Ondo chain. And when I see networks do this, folks, when I see networks pull this off, I'm very impressed. This means that they're eventually going to come up off of Ethereum, which may may or may not have a positive impact on Ethereum. But what I think will happen is they'll have an Ethereum market, but then they'll have their own Ondo chain market, still accessing the same products, but much like what Ripple did with RLUSD, how some of it is minted on Ethereum and the rest is minted on the XRP ledger. That is what we'll see with different RWAs, where some will be minted on Ethereum and some will be minted on Ondo's chain. Will that also include, the token migration and all of that? Yes. We've seen that process play out recently in the market with Fetch AI. And who did they merge with? It was Fetch AI and Singularity, if I'm not mistaken, AGI, Singularity Network. But now they're called Artificial Superintelligence. Token really didn't change that much. Price of the token didn't really fluctuate that much. It's merely a migration process that happens in the background. So if I were to pick a win to jump into Ondo, I'm waiting for the market to pull back because I was looking at the price chart. I've seen Ondo get as low as 65 cent. So I would be waiting until we get a little bit closer to that range. If I'm not mistaken, as of this morning, we were a little bit above 85 cent. So I'm expecting a pretty substantial pullback in June that'll give us the opportunity to get in. But the main reason I want to get in is because I feel that Ondo is really leading this charge when it comes to RWAs. Now, don't get me wrong, I recognize the 300 to 400 million tokenized stock on Algo. I know about the multiple millions that Franklin Templeton has tokenized on Stellar. I know that. But I got my Stellar bag. I have my Algo bag. You reach a certain point where you can stretch out a little bit. You want to always look out for new plays to make because the profit margin is often larger. So I'm looking at Ondo to make a play. And it's mainly because of the presence that they have in the RWA sector and the introduction of this Ondo chain. And then if you take a look at rwa.xyz, you can see here, guys, total value on RWAs on Ondo, 2.5 billion. 2.5 billion. This OUSG and USDY, I am seeing these products pop up on multiple chains. As it stands right now, let me see, I believe we do have that. Yeah. The majority of it is on Ethereum, 19.5% on Solana. We have some on Sui, some on Aptos, Polygon. These are very decent networks, especially Polygon. They've been around since the beginning. Well, they haven't recorded any yet, but they're working with Polygon, which shows that they're beginning to expand down the list a little bit when it comes to the pantheon of Web3 projects. Because you have to start with your Ethereum, Solana, Aptos, and Sui. Why would I say that? Well, you have Ethereum as the OG. You got Solana as the Patrick Mahomes. He's the Patrick Mahomes. Solana is the Patrick Mahomes of crypto because Solana is so dang good, but don't nobody like it, okay? And then you move to Sui and Aptos, and I'm surprised I haven't seen Near Protocol on here, but it'll happen. But I bring those up because of the programming languages that these networks use. Sui and Aptos use the Move programming language, and that is already proving to be just as efficient in developing large-scale blockchain networks. Move, the programming language, that's the same one that was about to be embedded into Facebook's blockchain that they were creating a few years ago called Libra, and then rebranded into Diem. So I like the reach here. I like the spread for Ondo, guys. And then, of course, we discovered recently that Ondo, Chainlink, JP Morgan. Okay. This will not only involve RWAs, but the movement of stablecoins between banks like JP Morgan and whoever their partners will be. Excuse me. So it was really that when I read it, I looked at Ondo and I said, okay, impressed. Very impressed by what you're kicking out here, Ondo chain. But then it was the story that made me start digging into Ondo. And then I discovered that they added a particular person to their leadership. And this sealed the deal for me. Patrick McHenry joins Ondo Finance as vice chairman, former U.S. representative, chairman of the House Financial Services Committee, guys. McHenry is not a joke. When it came to, as you can see here, early blockchain related legislation like FIT 21 and other stablecoin bills, as well as Bitcoin Reserve Acts, this is the guy in the room. So if Ondo is bringing McHenry in as a leader, this is someone that I can trust. And that's very important in this space full of people that you can't. Just to emphasize here, I'm going to read this description to you. Chairman McHenry brings decades of experience shaping financial policy, including leading the bipartisan passing of the Fit for 21st Century Act in the House, as well as serving as Speaker pro tempore of the House in 2023, and will play a pivotal role in enhancing Ondo's government relations, strategy, regulatory engagement, and thought leadership in the rapidly growing tokenized securities sector. His appointment highlights Ondo's dedication to driving U.S.-led innovation in the digital asset space. So, like I said, when I saw that McHenry was involved, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, I was definitely locked in. I was definitely locked in at that point. So, Ondo Finance, a little bit under $1 right now. It has my attention. It is on my radar. And once the market makes a significant pullback, I'm definitely going to make a play. Definitely going to make a play. It's surely I want you to know this is surely a long-term move. I'm not getting into Ondo expecting a quick turnaround. I'm genuinely considering it for the Elite Eight for 2026, 2025, 2026, because it's the sector of tokenized securities that it's connected to that has staying power. So that's perfectly suited for a long-term hold. Next to Stellar, Ondo as an institutional play. Guys, I'm telling you, that's why I start on these lists so early, because it is so hard to to break it all down to eight. I put out a vote a couple of years back when we started this. Should it be 8 or 11? You guys picked 8. Thanks. Thanks for that, guys.